Hello, good evening. Welcome to the latest look at the Premier League. We're looking at week 6. What happened, major talking points. The 5 I've selected for consideration this week are 1. Rooney loses head as Bowling boys are denied a draw at the death. 2. Arsenal ride their luck as sharper Spurs contribute to decent derby display. 3. Toffee's last minute screamer proves hard to swallow for Liverpool. 4. Struggling with 4 actually. I was trying to sort of get some sort of pun along the lines of Pele and Austin as, like classic romantics. I'm just going to go 2 great goals by 2 handsome men. Number 5, West Brom proved too much for Burnley, who keep rolling the dice unsuccessfully. So let's start at number 1. Seems like a sensible place to begin. Again, United were pretty sloppy at the back and pretty good going forward. Story of this season. And the major talking point was, of course, Wayne Rooney showing some of the reckless anger that used to be such a fundamental part of his game. There was an excellent little bit on Match of the Day where they showed the foul and just showed how pointless and needless it really was. It panned out and it showed that the West Ham player bursting forward, I think was Stuart Downing, can't be sure, had one other striker up front and 4 or 5 other defensive players from Manchester United. So it was a needless tackle. It was overly aggressive. It wasn't the behaviour that you would expect from the Manchester United captain. He let his teammates down, and he made it a much harder game for them. It will be interesting going forward to see how Van Gaal rearranges the team, especially now that Herrera has been ruled out for some time. Will Mata go into that number 10? Will Falcao and Van Persie go up top together? It may appear that Falcao is perhaps too similar to Van Persie in that neither are a dynamic player that could drift wide, but for example in the Leicester game, Falcao broke down the left brilliantly to set up Van Persie, so perhaps he is. We'll see how that develops. But of course, Wayne Rooney losing the head. They now lose him for a few games. Moving on to talking point number 2, the North London derby. Arsenal were probably the better side. Again, defensively very poor. I know all Arsenal fans out there will be increasingly frustrated with how defensively weak this team has been for about 10 years now. Wenger surely has to strengthen in the January transfer window. Not even in terms of pushing for the championship, but to maintain their interest in the Champions League and to maintain a place in the top 4. As simple as that. Spurs, played some good stuff. A lot more competitive than they have been in recent years in this fixture. Pochettino will be heartened by that. And they had chances to win the game in actual fact. So I think Spurs will be happy with their performance. Ozil appeared to be back to his old ways. Fairly anonymous throughout the game. A few little nice touches here and there. But you thought after his performance away against Villa and being played in that number 10 role, he'd provide what Arsenal needed to go on and win the game. But a good, exciting, competitive derby, nonetheless. The third talking point, Phil Jagielka's last-minute goal against Liverpool. Wow, absolute screamer. Didn't think it was that good a game, to be perfectly honest. I have seen they were talking about it on the Guardian podcast and suggesting that Balotelli isn't a team-minded individual. If you actually watch the game, that's absolute nonsense. He was working his socks off. He was chasing back. the amount of challenges he put in on that Everton midfield and defence even was outstanding. He was working extremely hard. He was also, I mean, you can look at this next analysis in two ways. He had, I think, 10 shots on goal himself. Either that's greedy or that's him desperately trying to do his best for the team. I think it's probably somewhere in between, but I don't think you can question his desire to win and his work ethic in the derby against Everton. I thought he was tremendous. It was only an excellent Tim Harrod point-blank save that stopped Balotelli getting on the score sheet. Steven Gerrard scored a nice free kick. Again, he didn't particularly contribute that much throughout the game. And although Liverpool dominated, a draw was probably just about a fair result. The fourth talking point was the Southampton versus QPR game. Now I'm going to hold my hands up, literally and figuratively. I thought Southampton would demolish Queen's Park Rangers. Southampton, of course, been in great form recently. And I thought that after beating Arsenal away in the week, at home, to a QPR team that has been largely rudderless this season, I thought the Saints would demolish them. But QPR were impressive. They put up a good fight. They were defensively quite stable. Charlie Austin took his goal beautifully well. Oh. Took it down, swiveled, volleyed home. Must have thought, yeah, I'll be getting goal of the month this season, not a problem. And then what happens? That gorgeous man, Graziano Pelle, scores an absolutely outrageous strike. Beautiful technique, beautiful execution, beautiful man. Lovely goal. And he's going some way to win me round after my initial analysis at the beginning of the season that I thought he may struggle to adapt to the higher standard of the Premier League after doing well in the Eredivisie. So, two breathtaking goals, and Southampton continue their upward trajectory. QPR, I think, will take heart from that game as well, just on the basis that they showed good fight and were close to getting a draw away from home against a good Southampton team. Lastly, we're going to look at West Brom proving too much for Burnley. West Brom, another team that have, in recent times, done a lot to counter what I thought would be one of the prime relegation contenders. They've a win away against Tottenham, a 4-0 victory here. Yeah, they're in great form. Barahino, talented youngster, slamming in the goals for them. Very impressive. Burnley, on the other hand, abject. They are missing their two top goal scorers, and they do not look like scoring from anywhere else. They're defending very deep. They appear to not have enough to cope with the division, and I think they look like they're going down, without a shadow of a doubt, unless some sort of miracle happens. So another great weekend of Premier League football across Europe. Messi got his 400th goal, I believe, for Barcelona. Ridiculous statistic. Atletico Madrid, big home win against Sevilla, 4-0. Simeone's first game back obviously made a big difference. Dortmund lost away to Schalke. PSG continued to struggle, and Marseille continued to top the French league. Italy, Juventus march on. Doesn't look like anyone's going to be able to stop them, although Roma are looking good, and their game tonight against Man City proves to be a mouth-watering tie. Just like to end today's podcast on a really profound and moving quote that I found in the book this week. Diego Maradona, in 2010, said, "I say this, the player who scores our winning goal in the final is free to enter me from behind." So, just a lovely example there or the fact that not all footballers are stupid and crass and disgusting. Some of them do have something to say. Good night.